Now, going into the fourth series of the day, literally at the halfway point now, it's going to be between the likes of SIB and Sirius. Of course, Sirius, the AIM superstar, which we've witnessed and known and loved coming into this, was put on a very strong performance coming into the Quake Pro League so far. But for SIB, though, you've got to remember, he's been looking pretty good so far. He's taken a map off Wenger, he's taken a map off Kilson as well, so hasn't been too shabby either.
No, he certainly has not. SIB currently ranked 12th on the leaderboard, but even though he has managed to take away a few maps here and there from some of the best players in the world, Kilson, Wenger, SIB, Zen, still only one overall victory, and that was, as you can see here, in week 1 against Hron. Ever since then, he's come close. Just look at those 4 most recent matches, all 1-2. He's come close to securing overall wins, but has just fallen short of them. So let's see if he can change that up today.
Yeah, you kind of feel like it's been a story of his life so far, just not able to close out a lot of his series. But, you know, taking a map of Zenaku, Wenger, Kilson, Dramas, it's shown some good signs really, because a lot of people would probably make the assumption he'll get 3-0'd by a lot of those players, and it's happened in the past, so probably think the past is just basically going to repeat itself. But no, he's been pretty damn good so far. But seriously, this is a man you've got to be so careful with, and dueling experience is absolutely key to try and make him as uncomfortable as you can. But Sirius, though, again, just put on a very strong performance in the Quake Pro League so far. Just looking at the series wins, you can see taking down Nosfer and Maxter 2-1, a 3-0 against Hron and Tox as well. Struggled a bit against Dramas, but look at that, though, going 5-2 after a bit of a break from the Pro League. It's a really good start for him so far.
I mean, I think that not a lot of people were expecting Sirius to be doing so well. He's top 8 at this point, 5 wins, 2 losses. Man is on a roll. I think that one of the things that was really holding him back in the past was kind of his mental game. He was very quick to kind of tilt, to start making irrational decisions, to rely on his aim perhaps a bit much, but you know, it feels like he's getting a lot better at that. He was in chat earlier and he said something that I thought was pretty relevant. He said that, you know, he's just embraced the tilt. He's been permanently tilted for years now. You know, it's like the Hulk saying, that's my secret, I'm always tilted. And hey, if that's what's working for him, then he needs to keep it up, because this is some of the best series that we've ever seen. Also worth noting, Lethal, he has a staggering 49% LG average throughout his games in the Quake Pro League so far. That's the kind of accuracy that players look at and say, that was an amazing game I just had. For Sirius, that's just normal.
Yeah, this is just standard for him. And you know, it's like with Quake, you know, champions and maps aside, with how he's been playing, it's all about your mental game and the style of play. And I like how you said he's just embraced being tilted. But do you know what? He's kind of used to it now, so it's perfectly fine. But he shouldn't really be tilted at all now, considering the
no, not at all.
Staggering performance he's been able to elaborate on us so far. But we'll go to the picks and bans shortly, because we still need to dissect what could be occurring in this matchup. And you can see already the Veil and the Blood Covenant ban coming out straight away, and we'll be kicking things off with Corrupted Keep. So back into normality, you could say. You know, Corrupted Keep, Strog and Ranger, we've seen it time and time again, and we're not really getting too many champions in terms of mobility, only the Strog and the Doom at the very end. And you can see the Nyx coming out from SIB on that final map as well. You can see the Anarchy's been banned on Corrupted Keep, and the Slash was banned straight away from SIB, going on to Ruins here, and the Athena ban. So a lot of the champions you would normally look for very early on being banned out straight away. So this is going to be quite interesting to see. But I think first map, going to be extremely standard. Second one, we've seen the Visor and the Galena pick quite a few times before. And then the Doom versus the Nyx. The Nyx can be so strong on this map, depending on the circumstances. But again, you know, it doesn't matter if it's a light or heavy champion. Sirius's aim is going to heavily back him up. And we've seen no BJ picks either from him. Normally, he does whip out the BJ pick. You know, we've seen him do it on Molten Falls a couple of times. And, you know, it's just however he's feeling on that day. So we haven't seen it this time around, but we'll have to see how this series goes in the end.
This could end up being a very close series. SIB has been playing really well on Ruins. I think that many people would agree that that's one of his better maps. And also, if we look at Awoken, SIB playing Nyx on Awoken, that's the exact combo that he used to take away a map from Kilson, who at this point is the only player left undefeated in this season of the Quake Pro League. So Sirius definitely has to watch out there, because SIB with Nyx on that map can be a deadly combo. Same can be said for Ruins of Sarnath. So looking at these maps, I'm gonna say that Sirius, in my eyes, has the advantage on map 1. I think the Strog could work really well. He's got to be careful of that orb, because we know how versatile it is. And I'd say that SIB has a bit of an angle on map 3 on Awoken, whereas Ruins of Sarnath is going to be a bit more of a toss-up. Yes, it's a map that SIB has performed very well at, but we know what Sirius can do with his aim as is. Add on to that the piercing sight from the visor that works really well on these larger maps. Who knows? Who knows?
I think it's very debatable, that second map, isn't it? It's all about how SIB plays with a Galena, isn't it? It's not about how Sirius performs with a piercing sight and preparing for these items and where his opponent's going to go. It's just those totems and just making sure to hover around the same path and just keep them in play. So that way, we've seen a lot of players at Galena just favouring the heavy every single time and then have to fall back on those totems straight afterwards. So it's all about how Sirius is going to perform with that Galena. If he doesn't, then, you know, he could definitely go in the way of Sirius. And it's a big topic up for discussion with a lot of Galena players, especially going on to Ruins as well. It may seem easy in terms of like where the totems are going to be, but if your opponent's going to be hovering around the same path or the same routes every time and also being able to pick up that heavy each and every time, then it makes it really rough, extremely difficult, because you know that in terms of stack, SIB will always have that advantage. You have to see what Sirius can do here. But the amount of times we've seen him quite a semi-decent disadvantage in terms of stack and come out on top in terms of aim skill. We've seen it countless times. You made the good stat as well, the 49% average, not even just like a particular series, just overall in the Quake Pro League. That's just ridiculous, isn't it? As we're going to head into to keep with our standard matchup with the Ranger versus the Strog. And let's see what SIB's going to do early on.
Starting on SIB's point of view. Out comes the Peeker right away. I feel like that now gives SIB a bit of an advantage at this point, because he still has his ability. He still's got the orb available. Sirius immediately going to apply pressure. I like what SIB's doing here. He is denying access to the LG. He knows that that is Sirius' best weapon, and he wants to shut him out of that part of the map. Now in doing so, Sirius is able to secure the heavy, but still lacks something to deal consistent damage with at medium range. He's got rockets, got heavy machine gun for distance, but to really find it out at mid-distance, he's a bit outclassed in terms of arsenal right now.
Certainly is, and chat have spoken. 81%. They feel Sirius is going to take this to the 19% from SIB. Let's see if it's going to be the correct prediction. A lot of damage coming out there. He does orb over 4 that mega, which is understandable considering the predicament he was in. It has backed up all the way, but he's got the light, he's got the health bubble, but the peak is still there, still alive. Oh, he managed to get the damage. Not a huge amount, but enough to maybe sway the tide here. And Sirius just whips out the Sholly and gets the first frag.
And that's just one of the reasons why Strog is such a powerful pick on this map in particular, right? There is no railgun. On the other map, you would have just switched to rail and instantly destroyed the Peeker. But on here, you can't. You just kind of have to, you know, go toe-to-toe with it, do damage with machine gun or LG. And in doing so, SIB lost a lot of his stack, allowing Sirius to just drop in and finish it off. Now Sirius has a 2-frag lead. He's also at the better position to take this fight. He's got that cover. He's got the head glitch going on. And Mega's about to spawn. Sirius should just hold this position, drop down just in time. Out comes the orb, and somehow SIB still secures the trade and will be first to dive onto the Mega.
Yeah, spawns on the rocket straight away. He's got 25 rockets, so he can spam all he likes back in the ways. Still on a decent amount of HP, but he's got to be so careful with that shoddy. Backs away towards the light. Mega's up in 15. His orb's also coming up in 10 if things get a little bit dicey for this Mega. So the orb will come up beforehand. Let's see if he uses it preemptively. Damage or for that Mega. Looks like he's going to be saving it as he hits the Q from Sirius, backing away as Sirius actually went straight back for that heavy. So just about a second and a half between the two in terms of segregation for these items. 3 minutes in and Sirius looking very strong at the moment, but SIB holding his own. Deal with that peek and knows he's around that corner. Sadly for him, that rocket just barely missed Sirius at that stage. Finds another light to his name. Mega's up in the next few seconds, but you can see SIB is hoping to maybe go towards that heavy, but getting a lot of damage done at the same time. Oh, the rocket coming out from Sirius. That's going to be 3 Mega for him, but looking at just taking his time. Oh, great orb as well, stealing that Mega away.
Sirius now back in the driver's seat, and firmly so. Heavy in his favor. Doesn't have heavy machine gun though, so he doesn't want to stick around for that fight too long, and ouch! Some big rockets from SIB right there. First one just bouncing him up, killing his momentum, denying him exit out of the room. That allowed SIB to follow up some more devastating shots and bring it to a 2-point game. Now Heavy has been taken by Sirius once again. Out comes the Beaker, racing across half the map before ultimately still doing a good amount of damage with the Kamikaze.
With that peek from SIB, it means Sirius was able to secure that 5th frag. SIB has spawned in Red Room. Of course, LG versus that nail gun, it's just not going to work out for SIB at all. And because Sirius didn't really take too much damage from that previous engagement, it does mean he's got free roam of how he wants to do, how he wants to pursue this next frag on CK. And look at all the damage already done already, and then further with that 75 from the last peeker. Whipping out the shotgun once again, now a 5 frag deficit SIB needs to try and claw back from. And they're now at the halfway stage here with the Mega now being collected soon enough by Sirius.
Sirius managing to dodge most of the rocket damage there. SIB was just raining down some artillery on the Mega. Sirius managed to dodge most of it. This will be the American who takes the heavy. But all the pressure now is on SIB. And the only thing that SIB really has in terms of mobility is the orb. And sometimes the orb ends up like that. A little too reckless. A little too obvious. Too easy for Sirius to anticipate with a rocket like that. And now SIB is in a bad spot because he's got to chase down a champion that's much faster than him for 6 frags. Now he does have a lot of time to make it work. And Corrupted Keep is a very snowball heavy map, so once he gets going, once he builds that momentum, he could easily turn 1 frag into 2, 3, maybe even 4. But he's got to make it happen. Sirius is going to do everything in his power to stop that.
And he will, as Sirius. Again, this is a flying SIB coming in towards Heavy. Good rocket though, that 94 is going to help a lot. We know he's been taken down, but under enough damage, but the problem is Heavy's been picked up straight away, and you can see SIB playing this extremely aggressive, and why not? He's got the weapons he needs and the stack to contend against. Oh, Sirius, but it manages to take him. Mega's up in the next couple of seconds, and of course with the spawn, not going to get there in time for the trade. Stop him from getting that Mega. It was way too short notice for him. Has picked up the light. Heavy's up in the next couple of seconds, and SIB's going to be questioning himself, how am I going to get myself back in this matchup? 3 minutes left in play. Still got to go look for 4 frags if he can. Needs to try and make his best use of that orb as possible, but also not take too much unreturned damage. And good, this is a good start though, but problem is Sirius still stands his ground. Great rockets coming up from Sirius, and now makes it back to 5 frag difference. He's going to back away and get this Heavy in the next few seconds.
It's also a bit worrying that this is on an American server. So this matchup is favorable to SIB, at least in terms of ping. That is going to make the overall win for Sirius much more likely. Moving on to map 2. Provided, of course, that SIB cannot bring this back. She very well might. Just picked up the Mega. That's a big rocket too. SIB actually has the orb, so he could just go for a rush. But I think he's lost track of where Sirius is at. Now Sirius is just gonna put up an evasive smoke screen, stick to this side of the map, make good use of that crouch slide. He's really just using the peeker, not so much for damage, but just for information. Trying to get an idea of when the Mega has been taken, so he knows the item timing without ever putting himself at risk.
And just looking at the stats so far, 16 items for Sirius, 15, now 16 for SIB, 21 lights, but Sirius only had the 8, but SIB does win that outright with the shoddy in that last engagement. 58% LG coming out from Sirius. I really should stop acting so surprised at this point. Rockets coming out between the two. SIB stays alive on 1 HP, and that was crucial. If he lost that last engagement, that would have been the final nail in the coffin. He's just outside of range with the LG. Sirius knows he's probably going to start pushing towards those 2 health bubbles. Pika comes out, stands his ground with that, picks up the lights. Heavy is up, Mega's up in 10. Not too sure about this so far, Flea.
Neither am I. But what do you do when you're SIB and your opponent is hitting 58% LG? 48 is impressive. 58 is insane. That is not normally. Someone should go check him PC right now, because Sirius is on fire.
Sure is, my goodness. And whichever once again. 135 from that last heavy machine gun battle. Oh, SIB comes in with the orb though. They'll stay alive, but again, time is going to be a factor. 10 seconds left, and that is going to be it. Sirius with that victory, 12-7, and you rightly said, you know, turn back the pings. For anyone who watching wants to know, it's actually NA, EU, then NA, so we'll be going to the EU server next, and of course for Sirius, he's going to be pretty darn happy about that. 1,512 more damage for Sirius in comparison there, and overall it was still 58% LG anyway. Both these players were heavily favouring the Rockets, and Sirius nearly had 2,200 damage with the Rockets. Insane.
Also had more items taken as well. 20 versus 17. SIB had a whole lot more of the small armor secured, but that usually is just a testament to him being out of control for most of the map. Because if you're in control, you take the heavies, so you can't use the small armors when you're already overstacked, you're already at that limit in terms of armor. So it makes sense that SIB would have secured a lot more of the small armors, but still, it's nice to see Sirius get so many of the majors as well, because item control hasn't always been his forte, to put it mildly, right? That was one of the things that he struggled with a lot, so watching him really improve on those basics, on the fundamentals, Sirius is shaping up to be a serious threat.
Certainly is indeed. Sirius off to a fantastic start. 12-7 in that first map. Still got, of course, 2 more left to go. Be interesting to see how this series is going to pan out. As SIB has had been a bit of a trend for him, hasn't it, Flea? Scraping a map by here and there against some of these top-ended players, and we'll have to see which one it's going to be if that does happen, of course. But it could still also take the series, depending on how the second and third map is going to go. It will be on Ruins next with the Galena versus the Visor matchup. This is the one which we've been discussing over in terms of it's quite 50-50. It's more in SIB's hands with how he's going to approach the situation with his totems, but of course how Sirius is going to do to put a lot of pressure onto SIB to back away on the possible rotations he's going to have for those totems as well. And then finally, we'll have the Awoken matchup, the Nyx versus the Doom, which I think a lot of us will probably agree that the Nyx on the Awoken is an extremely strong feat for Sirius to try and contend with that Doom. But the Doom, you know, it's a nice safe pick, really, isn't it, for Awoken?
It is, and it's one that, you know, we were wondering why we didn't see Dramas pick him instead of Visor earlier, right? But first of all, focusing on Ruins, we're getting Galena versus Visor. One champion, very defensive with those totems, can lay traps, get information to stack up, to do a bit of damage with as well. And on the other hand, you've got Visor with the piercing sight, temporarily allows him to see his opponents no matter where they are on the map. And with a player like Sirius, who's known for his aim, that could just give him the boost that he needs to just reign supreme on a map as large as Ruins.
Yeah, it should be illegal for the guy to pierce insight in this matchup, but got to contend with the Galen at this point, so we'll have to see how this is going to go. Head into our second map now to see if Sirius is going to add another W to the collection in this series, or if SIB can equalise things going into map 3, because map 3 is looking quite good in terms of champion picks. We'll have to see. Piercing sight being initiated already on that get-go, but we'll find out how things are going to go shortly. As already, it's just picked up heavy. So circling back around, and we're going to stick with Sirius's perspective.
First totem, immediately spotted, taken care of by Sirius. It's going to be important for him to continue doing that. Now both players just kind of, slowly edging around the center of the map. SIB will be the first to break the silence. He fires the opening rocket. Sirius knows where he is, but SIB does not. There we go. Good push. Oh! Down the stairs he goes! That was such a big rocket. It's too bad for Sirius that he didn't realize what he did. And I think if he's gonna watch the replay, he's going to realize what an opportunity he had. He actually sent SIB straight back down the stairs and could have just walked onto the item himself for a free mega and a very likely kill as well.
Yeah, the problem is, how rare is it that you get such a great rocket raid that's going to beam him off to the side? It's not too often, is it, from what we've witnessed from our experience casting Quake for many years now, and Sirius using that piercing sight will find him on that heavy jump pad and actually forces him away, which is some great stuff there from Sirius, and using that piercing sight to its full potential rather, but does get railed. He does fake that rocket jump, and SIB did expect it just a tad, as Mega will be up in the next 5 seconds. Piercing sights come out soon as well, but they can have a little engagement here around this nail. Is he going to be able to hit him? Yes, he does, but the problem is it's not going to be enough. On 38 HP, picks up the Mega, Heavy's up in 12, and using that piercing sight to either try to confirm the kill or just know that he's safe enough to pick up the light. Now head straight towards Heavy. This is looking very dangerous now for SIB, as Sirius is massively stacked at this 2-minute barrier.
Curious rocket spam from Sirius right there. Through the piercing sight. I thought it was rather clear that SIB was nowhere near the teleporter entrance. And yet Sirius treated it as if he could come through at any moment. But hey, Sirius 1 frag up. In control of the major items as well. However, SIB has 3 totems up on the map. He's got the overstack, doesn't even need the mega for that. It's gonna be critical for Sirius. Chase down those totems. There we go. Nice bit of rail damage to start things off with. SIB, no more armor to his name. I like this. Sirius, slow playing it. Not making any sound of his own. Realizing exactly where SIB is just by using the audio cues alone. He saw the heal. He saw the little healing sparkle, so he knows that there's a totem there.
And SIB now just playing a good game at the moment. Just needs to try and stay alive long enough to pick up that Heavy, which he manages to do. But the fight will be coming out right now. And corner courtyards, and it's going to take him down still. That was disgusting, the amount of damage he's able to output there, considering I wasn't too sure in terms of stacks before that fight, but SIB was quite heavily stacked considering the overstack he had previously and the Heavy, and Sirius still had like 110, 112 HP. That was just unreal. It's now up 2-0. Now approaching the 4-minute stage. Both items won't be up for quite a while. Sirius will have that piercing sight before these items respawn here, but this is looking very good for Sirius so far.
Good rail. SIB, railable. One more shot will do it. Luckily for him, he has a totem to fall back on. Sirius should take a closer look at that part of the map that SIB's setting up in. Nice, the LG once again, flawless. Oh. And the rail, nothing to scoff at either. You could see SIB making the calculations in his head, right? I can get to heavy before he can. I'm closer. And then that first rail connected, and then... oh, I don't know about this one. There we go, Rocket adding a little of momentum to that bounce pad. SIB flying sky high. And Sirius taking him down.
Sirius is continuing this rampage here. Oh, sees him, but doesn't get the first rail, sadly. Picks up heavy. And just rails him all the way back down, but uses a rail of his own, goes through one of the totems, but he's just not bothered here. He's just diving straight on in with a shotty. We're just past the halfway point here. 7-0 for Sirius. And Sirius is just not able to find his footing here. He does deny him the mega. 59 isn't going to help him too much, but at least for him, Sirius did miss a couple of those rails to help him pick up this heavy. And does he get it? Yes, he does. The piercing sight is going to confirm that for Sirius, as he's just getting ready to set up with that LG, as SIB has rightly so backed down once again.
Gotta say, I'm a little disappointed though. Sirius only hitting 56% LG this game instead of 58 from the previous match.
Awful.
Sirius clearly washed. What else can he do? What is he still good for with just 56% LG? But seriously, that is nuts. That health bubble, that's gonna give Sirius all the courage he needs. I was still on his point of view. He was railable, health bubble spawned behind him. Put him back over 90, he was like, okay, now I can pick up the heavy. And now SIB is struggling. 22 points of health. One more tickle off LG, finish it off, and now 7 points in the lead. Sirius is. SIB does get away with the mega, but he needs so much more, and he's not gonna get it. God. Sirius sets a trap. And look at that, Sirius. Just kind of crouching in a corner, trying to force a spawn. This is nice. I love what I'm seeing out of Sirius right now.
3 minutes left, and this looks to be a done deal here for Sirius to take this second map with 3 minutes left in play. Mega is up. He does have that piercing sight. He is greeted by SIB, but is back to wave. He's just waiting for a time to go for the TP until his back's turned. Just comes out with the LG straight away. Misses the rail, but it did quite a bit of damage with the LG anyway. Heavy is still up. But Sirius this time around doesn't have the piercing sight to check to see if SIB's gone down a little bit earlier for that heavy. He could have got that, but of course the risk isn't worth taking. He's looking to try and waste a little bit of time. Mega's up in 5. Let's find one of the other totems. As you said before, he hasn't been around this map quite a while, as SIB whips out the LG to clean the van out. Got 2 minutes left to try and make something happen, or if he doesn't tie this up to make this matchup as competitive as possible, as Heavy's up, and SIB is again heavily stacked.
I like what SIB did there though. The nail gun plasma jump over the wall. Take down Sirius with the LG. Pretty clever. Good execution too. But at this point, it is simply too little, too late into this series, and looking at SIB, I think it's clear. Look at how he's changed his posture, yeah. One hand off the mouse. He knows that this is done, and that Sirius will win at least the first 2 maps, and thus securing the overall series win as well.
Not too shabby at all. SIB is going to basically confirm it for us anyway. We know anyway it's mathematically impossible, but yeah, it was very close to begin with, and then Sirius was just able to let things get out of control here, and you saw there was a good balance of play coming up from SIB with those 3 totems as well, just trying to get a bit of damage done, pull back, and continue progressing further. But that one moment in just outside courtyard when they had that LG battle, SIB had the advantage, and then Sirius still had like 111, 112 HP left remaining. It was just, yeah, sight to behold, wasn't it? Still got 30 seconds left remaining.
Was, yeah, 30 seconds left, but SIB done playing. Calls the GG in chat. I think ultimately the pressure that Sirius just started putting him under prevented him from setting up those totems, stopped him from getting that consistent overstack. There was a time, right, in the first couple, 3-4 minutes where SIB really managed to kind of carve out this corner of the map where he had those totems set up. He always had something to fall back on, but then Sirius just kind of trapped him there. And every single time he stepped out of it, there was so much damage that he had to suffer through. Happy to see that Sirius did push up the LG accuracy a bit, back up to 60. 60, the big 6-0, absolutely insane. And I think that that just massively contributed to SIB's downfall here, because what can you do, right? How do you even approach any sort of engagement when your opponent is hitting that much? It's very easy to look at it and say, oh, well, you know, just don't take LG fights. Yeah, but LG is pretty damn important in high-level Quake, so you can't always get around that. And Sirius is just the dictator when it comes to that.
Yeah, it may have contributed just a little bit, Flea, just a little bit. But 60%, it's just unreal, isn't it? Like, you see a lot of these top players as well who try and make SIB feel very uncomfortable with not just his aim, but just not giving him those opportunities. Like with the rail, yeah, sure, fine, you can do that. But the LG is obviously a lot more difficult because it's a very standard weapon which is used at all different times and all different scenarios. And yeah, you can see from there 60%, 1885 with the LG and just 316 there from SIB. That is just absolutely unreal going into this next map now. But this is a map which we feel like maybe SIB has got the strongest opportunity to maybe take this map with the Nyx as well, but it just needs to be very careful of how he uses the Ghost Walk. And we've seen Sirius use his own Nyx, but he just uses it for aggressive purposes. We very rarely see him use it to get out of a bad situation. But yeah, we'll have to see, well, to witness what SIB can do going into this next map. We said it before, but you know, against a lot of top players, he does scrape a map by, and it's gonna pay, you know, a lot towards the leaderboard progression, because you mentioned he was 12th earlier on. So this might be a time for him to try and deal with that. We'll have to see. We'll have to also witness if Sirius can deal with the Nyx and what he has planned in order to try and pay out a lot of his Ghost Walks and just continue to what he does best.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we said this from the very start, right? Before the series even started. If SIB was going to win a map, this is the most likely one. This is the matchup that favors him the most. We saw him take a map of Kilson, the reigning champ, undefeated this season, just last week, playing Nyx on this map. So we know that SIB understands how to run that champion on Awoken so well. And in many ways, yeah, Nyx does a lot of what Doomslayer does as well in this matchup, right? Because almost all of those Doomslayer jumps you can do with Nyx as well. It's a little more difficult because you've got to make use of the wall, but still, she has a similar degree of mobility, plus she has that Ghost Walk, which can be so powerful both defensively as well as offensively. So let's see what SIB will do.
Yeah, it was SIB making it look easy against Kilson on Awoken before, but obviously styles are going to be a little bit more different this time round. So we're going to start from Sirius's perspective. And Rockets hasn't got the LG in hand, which is going to be extremely beneficial for SIB at the moment, but he's actually denying it with the tri-belt so far, and may get caught a little bit. 50 from that first rocket. Oh, he's caught in that jump pad just a little bit. Still continuing to use that tri-bolt. Oh, that would have been a great shot as well. If only that wall wasn't there, please. You can see just bouncing away from that last rocket.
Good rocket again. Sirius. Oof. Takes a little bit of unexpected damage right there. And that is putting SIB 1 point in the lead. No major items up yet. It's going to make it difficult for SIB to recover, as they did take a fair bit of damage previously. And as a light champion, he's always a bit more tender. That allows Sirius to kind of bully himself onto the Mega, force SIB away. Lands a good rail here as well. And another one. Oof, doesn't land the third kill shot, I believe it would have been. Interesting to note, Sirius hasn't touched the LG once this game. Hasn't even been in that corner of the map.
Yeah, SIB earlier on was denying the LG pretty hard earlier. SIB now just waiting for the right moment. Use the Ghost Walk. Oh, trying to give it a damage there. You know, just a little bit, but of course, Sirius in that situation gets the rail, gets the heavy. We've got one rocket left, but making use of it. He's just sneaking over to the jump pad. Mega's not for quite a while yet, so now he can. I was going to say be able to hold that angle, but he's actually dropped and sorry, the Mega's up right now, so SIB's going to be able to collect that, and it was desperately required, but comes in from behind with the LG. It was a little bit of a mess there from both players, but in the end, SIB does come out on top.
I think Sirius might have been out of rocket ammo right there. Slow to react. By the time he did turn around, click. Too late.
Shadows hide me.
Oh, 10 points of health. Still 5 seconds before Mega spawns. Both players extremely weak. Sirius stands his ground. Using standard machine gun. One single bullet was all he needed. Oh, SIB pushing in LG on LG once again. Ill-advised, perhaps, against the best aimer in the league.
Ooh. Let's get the light. Tickles in with the LG and just waits for him to peek out with that rail. Oh, the tri-bolt. He was on about 61, I believe, and yeah, that was more than enough for him to be able to secure that. And SIB now makes it 4-3, and he's got the Ghost Walk, so he could get this heavy and burn it if he wants to. I was thinking maybe he'll pick up that heavy and then use the Ghost Walk to get out of there, because it was a very disadvantageous angle, but still somehow alive. Not too sure how long for, though. Does get away, isn't available anymore, but he's greeted with the direct to the face. 6 HP. All tied up here, Flea.
Calculated, Sirius says. 6 HP, that leaves me with 5 more than I need to get this frag. And indeed, he tied it all up. He knows that SIB is so weak. Oh, rocket fires. Fraction of a second too early. And SIB does manage to evade Sirius for now, but is in no shape to make a push for Mega. Won't show his face. Will instead already be trying to set up for the heavy, if he will even contest. Big difference now though, Sirius doesn't have an LG. And SIB does. So the very push that went so wrong earlier, he actually could have made this time around. Not saying it would have worked, but the odds were favoring him a lot more than last time at least.
And it was as the Mega is up, but picked up by SIB as he's just wall jumping around the archway here. Energy bell comes out. Good rocket coming out from SIB there as Sirius pull back to collect his thoughts and also recover from the last engagement. Good rocket, another great rocket again coming out from SIB, but also the rail, don't forget. 42 coming out from that previous rocket, and he hits the rail again, looking for one more. He can, he's just teasing him at this stage, does get away. Good patience coming out from SIB. Then I'll say that happens. 5th frag coming out from Sirius.
I am really impressed by just the level of control and discipline I'm seeing out of Sirius. That's just things that he was never known for in the past, but that he's clearly been able to work on and improve now. Just looking at his face cam, there's frags where Sirius died, and I'm looking at his face cam to expect, you know, some kind of a reaction, some tilt, some emotion for something to go wrong. But no, he just maintains his focus. And then also just looking at how he takes some of these fights, right? Landing the first rail shot, and then switching to just the normal machine gun, for instance. Not going for the second rail, but just knowing that he has got much better shot of finishing it off by switching to the machine gun. And that's just something that I don't think, quote-unquote, old Sirius would have done.
He's picked up both lights. The only light available now for SIB is going to be underneath rail. Sirius picks up the heavy. But look at this, he's already in that proximity, so he's going to have no armor at all for a little bit of time. Now he's pushed him away from all 3 lights, so it's going to cause a little bit of issue there. Finds him. Good damage coming out there from Sirius once again. He's really And a lot of pressure and a little bit of a stranglehold onto SIB here. It's eating up all these armors and good positioning as well. And the timing of these items. Ghost Walk comes out. Mean it's going to be a free heavy. Of course, he's not going to continue contesting that. Mega's still up. Rocket jumps up just for extra insurance. And SIB once again. And SIB must be thinking, like, everywhere I go, he's in some kind of close proximity. We've got 3 minutes left now. Still, though, just a free frag deficit. SIB can somehow claw back control. Or some of these items here, but that's going to be a couple of good rockets to give him a bit of leeway.
Now Sirius also picks up heavy. Probably will have to yield the Mega. Yeah, SIB does walk away, but he pays a heavy price, down to around 60. Now 75 points of health. Does get a bit of armor to work with as well, but will it be enough? Ghostwall comes up. Sirius hears the bounce pad right next to him. SIB has been bleeding frags the past 2 minutes. There we go. Some excellent LSG from the American. Bring it to a 3-point game. This is still possible, especially with Mega spawning right there. Sirius powering on through. He's got to be careful that he doesn't get overly confident in his aim. Because we know that SIB, when his aim is on, he can hit like a truck just the same. Try and chase blindly around the corner through a choke point. Rocket waiting for him. Sirius, 2 frags ahead, 2 minutes to go. This could still go wrong.
That rocket, direct rocket earlier, could be the turning point here.
Yeah.
And it looks like it is here, Flea. 1.5 minutes left to go. More than capable to bring this back in the matchup. Needs to not get hit by this rail, but gets one of his own again. Some of these very small plays here just making such a huge difference. 1:15 left, and I like how SIB isn't really getting too overzealous, just consistently changing his angles. Knows that he may not be going to go for the item, but at least he can try and take him down, or at least do enough damage to not make it worth. So this is wild here. Again, hits another rail. One more. We'll be able to do it, but Sirius retaliates with a rail of his own. And if he could get somehow a trade and keep him on spawn afterwards, could be something a little bit different. And now he's got the info he needs and a tiny bit of damage. And look, he's just diving on in, but the rockets are just way too good. Sirius on 3 HP. This could be a done deal here. I think after that first rail, forcing him to drop and not even pick up the light, this could be it.
Now this will be it. SIB was really starting to build some momentum. I think in part because Sirius really gave him the opportunity to do so by being too aggressive. Just too much trust being placed in his aim, which, as amazing as it is, isn't the end all be all. And then SIB all of a sudden flipped it around. But SIB will now call GG's in chat. And that makes it so that Sirius is going to walk away with a 3-0 victory. Well done.
He certainly does. 17 items for SIB. I think I just briefly missed that. I think that might have been 20 or Sirius. It was. Thank God for that. 45% LG. It's alright, isn't it? It's not bad compared to the 36% from SIB. And 55% rail. Of course, we saw that SIB was denying the LG quite often. And it's just how Sirius had the stranglehold on that map. Just how he was able to control the lights so well. And also not being able to pick maybe one of them up in particular. He would just deny it by having that angle or the positioning, so to speak. So everything was just going his way perfectly. Of course, we saw there, you know, there was one or two very messy fights, which was quite hard for us to kind of dictate how it was going to occur. SIB did keep it very close to the first 3 quarters of the game, but Sirius in the end just did what he does best and was able to escalate things further towards the very end, as you can see. And as I mentioned before, 55% rail for Sirius, 45.5% for the LG, and 36 and 38% respectively there from SIB. So a 3-0 victory for Sirius is going to help him climb quite largely on the leaderboard here. I look forward to see how things will pan out at the very end, and as you can see, the full results for anyone who missed that series.
This is going to make it so that Sirius will now have 6 wins and just 2 losses, which is an excellent track record so far. Whereas SIB still Just one win in week 1, I believe, versus Hron that was. So, yeah, SIB often comes close. He didn't come close to the win today. He almost secured the final map, was really starting to mount a bit of a comeback, but overall, Sirius just had his number with the amazing aim that just makes it so difficult for anyone to really do anything against.
Yeah, it was rough. I think that's the right word for it. It was definitely quite rough in some of those occasions, but these things happen. And like I said, it's a big contributor to how Sirius is so successful and has been so successful over the course of this Pro League so far. And speak of the devil, we've still got 3 more series left to go, and we've got 2 absolute bangers later on. But right now, and after this break, we will have SIB versus Chain. So guys, don't go anywhere once again, as we'll be back in about 5 minutes.